Hey everybody, welcome. Let me make myself big. Hi guys. Well, today was quite stressful. Sorry, I was teaching at 1 o'clock and had no idea about that email. And then I realized that I didn't have my laptop to be able to Zoom with you all. And I know some of you were in the car. And for those of you who don't live on campus, I wanted you to get home. And so my apologies that we couldn't Zoom, but I think that that was just way too short of notice. So I hope you made it all home safe. I think today would be a great day to rest, relax, and watch your black film. So in the email that I'm going to send you with this YouTube link, I will list the 6 films and where you can access them as of Friday when I look them all up. So remember that assignment is due at the end of the day, so midnight on Friday, February 19th. All right, so with that said, I am going to make myself a little baby over here in the corner, and I'm going to share my PowerPoint. So I have one thing to talk about still kind of in the American Revolution / constitutional period, and that is Sally Hemings. And this is a painting of what Sally Hemings looked like. Sally Hemings was a biracial woman. Her father was white and her master. Her mother was a slave, and she is going to become a very famous woman because of her affiliation with our nation's 3rd president, Thomas Jefferson. So here is a family tree. Now this is going to look a little complicated at first, but hear me out. So John Wales was a Virginia planter, and he's a white Virginian, and he married a woman named Martha, and one of their daughters was named Martha as well. He also raped his black slave, Elizabeth, and he would father 6 children with Elizabeth, one of them being Sally. Now, Martha, his white daughter, is going to marry Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Jefferson and Martha will have 2 of their own children, right? Martha and Mary. So what's going to happen is John Wales is going to die in the year 1774, and at this time women cannot own property. So he does not have a son, and the property will not fall to his daughter because she is a woman. So instead it's going to go to his son-in-law, Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Jefferson will get 135 enslaved people from John Wales. So that will include Elizabeth Heming, her 6 children, one of them being Sally Hemings. So Sally is going to come to Monticello when she's a toddler in 1774. So let's fast forward. We have the American Revolution, and sadly during the Revolution, Thomas's wife Martha will die. So Thomas is a widow, and he is going to take his daughters Martha and Mary over to France after the war because he's the ambassador to France. And because his daughter Martha is a teenager at the time, he is going to bring Sally to be her slave because they're similar in ages. They're about 14 at the time. So while they're over in France, Sally is going to become pregnant at the age of 14. And Sally is, as you can see, 30 years younger than Thomas Jefferson. And so he begins sexually exploiting her. She becomes pregnant with his child. Sadly, that child will die and not make it to infanthood. And Sally is now in this kind of horrible position where she knows Thomas Jefferson wants to be with her, and he is going to take her back to the United States, or she can stay in France. As a 17-year-old woman, she could be a free woman of color because slavery is over in France. But Sally chooses to go back to the United States to basically see her family again. And she gives Thomas Jefferson an ultimatum. And the ultimatum is, you will know that if I go back to the U.S. with you, you A, cannot sell any of my family ever. B, you must free any of the children I have by you by the time they become adults. And C, you must give my children special privileges and teach them skills so when they are free, they can survive and make money. And that is how William and James will be taught carpentry. And so they are freed on their 18th birthdays, They will go to Ohio. They will marry. They will be free. They will have families. And Harriet and Thomas will not be freed until Thomas Jefferson dies in 1826. And when he dies, he never freed Sally, but Martha, Sally's, I guess you could say, niece-in-law or half-niece, will free Sally. So Sally and her 2 children will live outside Charlottesville free through the remainder of their lives. Now, how do we all know this? Well, we know this because in 1998, a DNA study of the black Jeffersons and the white Jeffersons, the heirs of Thomas Jefferson and his descendants, they did genetic matching of the Y chromosome in the male line and found out that it was a 99.9% match. And so a lot of us kind of think, whoa, Thomas Jefferson, our 3rd president, raping somebody 30 years younger than him, having these children, never marrying Sally, never bringing her to the White House, but every time he went back to Monticello, this new little baby popped out, right? And so that is going to be kind of the kind of horrific truth about somebody we see as kind of the founding father of our nation. But I want to focus on Sally, right? As a woman of color, she was able to negotiate with one of the most powerful men in the world for her freedom. And she said, you're not going to sell my family, you're going to teach my children, and you're going to free them. As a 17-year-old girl, she did that. And so a lot of times we look at, you're either you run away or you stay in slavery. Sally didn't run away, she stayed, but she used her power and her body and her womanhood to protect her unborn children. And to also protect her family. And so think of those innovative ways that people of color, especially women of color, while being exploited, can find ways to assert their femininity, their motherhood, and ultimately save their families. So that is the Sally Hemings story that I think just really shows a lot about race, class, power, and gender in our nation's foundation. Okay, so I'm going to pause this video and make this a separate one, and I will make another one based on cotton, because that's the other thing we talked about today. So I'm going to end this here, and then I'll start back up with cotton. Thanks, y'all.